Tonight in the Daily News Roundup, Kingston technical student killed during fight at school. Ex-soldier killed while working on car off Maxfield Avenue. Silent Hill grieves as second elderly man found in bushes. Elderly man found with throat slashed in Job's Lane. Dad under scrutiny after son slain. And judge wraps prosecution. Defense for wasting time in Beachy Stout trial. Good evening, I am Abigail Smythe. We begin tonight in Kingston. The police have taken a 17-year-old female student at the Kingston Technical High School into custody following the killing of a 16-year-old girl from the same school. The deceased has been identified as grade 11 student Missy Ann Campbell, who was reportedly from Kingston 2 area. Information is that about 2:45 p.m. both students were at school when a dispute developed between them. The altercation turned into a fight. During the fight, it is alleged that Campbell was stabbed to the left side of her neck and left side of her forehead. The other student received injuries to her left wrist. Both girls were taken to the Kingston Public Hospital, where Campbell succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced dead, and the other student was treated and released into the custody of the police. A man said to be a former Jamaica Defence Force soldier was shot and killed on Sunlight Street of Maxfield Avenue in Kingston 13 Thursday morning. The deceased has been identified as 38-year-old Andre Stewart, who resided in the Zimbabwe section of the community. It is reported that Stewart was doing mechanical work on his vehicle when he was approached by men who shot him multiple times. He later succumbed to his injuries. According to the police sources, there is an ongoing gang feud between men from Zimbabwe and Sunlight Street. Investigations are ongoing. The discovery of a decomposing body of 74-year-old Clifton Chambers in bushes near his home in Silent Hill, Manchester on Tuesday sent shockwaves throughout the rural district. Chambers, who was visually impaired, reportedly went missing on September 15. The Christiana police said that residents stumbled upon the elderly man's body about 5:45 p.m. and alerted them. The circumstances of the grim discovery were all too familiar for residents, as some 3 months ago, the body of a 67-year-old man, also named Clifton, was found in bushes in the community. Clifton Bent had been missing for 3 days. Bent's family is still awaiting post-mortem results to finalize his funeral arrangements. Merlina Chambers, daughter-in-law of Clifton Chambers, told the Gleaner that she was at a loss as to why anyone would want to harm the elderly man who was well loved by the community. And the St. Catherine North police are probing the murder of a senior citizen who was found with his throat slashed at his Job's Lane home Wednesday night. He has been identified as Roy Edwards, otherwise called Brockup and Harry. The police report that about 11 p.m., residents of the community heard noises coming from Edwards' premises and became suspicious. They went to investigate and found him lying in a pool of blood. The police were called and they observed that Edwards' throat had been slashed. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Residents described the murder as very shocking, noting that the deceased was a very reliable person. And a St. Catherine father could be in serious legal trouble after reportedly firing 3 shots through a door at a figure thought to be an intruder at his home, only to discover that it was his 15-year-old son. The boy later died. The deceased has been identified as Raheem Shaw, a 5th form student at Wilmers Boys School in Kingston. The police were told that the mother of the deceased woke her husband up about 3:13 a.m. and told him that someone was breaking into their Hellshire home in Portmore. The father, who is a haulage contractor and licensed firearm holder, armed himself and reportedly fired 3 shots through a translucent door on hearing someone attempting to open it. After making a check, he discovered that it was his son, Raheem. The injured teen was rushed to the Spanish Town Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. A seasoned attorney at law who did not want to be identified told the Gleaner that the tragic incident highlights why there are rules regarding engagement. He said, quote, "Discharging one's firearm, one of the first things is you must identify the target so that you don't hit anything else other than the target. Examine the surroundings so you know what is behind your target," end quote. He added that the target is to be clearly identified to reduce the risk of friendly fire. He said that means an innocent party that you don't intend to shoot. You don't shoot unless you know what exactly your shot is going to strike, and you need to be sure that it is not anyone else beyond the target. The attorney added that firing at a movement or in the direction of a sound without absolute certainty at what one is aiming at is discouraged. He said, quote, "Shooting at a shadow would be tantamount to a breach of safety rules. Use of force is also a guide to arms use, and danger cannot be perceived. It must be real, and that's the lesson that everybody needs to learn," end quote. The tragedy left relatives and residents of Helsher distraught. Teams from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency and the police's Community Safety and Security Branch were dispatched to offer support. Information is that Rahim has older siblings living overseas. His uncle, Andrew Shaw, however, expressed concern for two young relatives, including his son, with whom Rahim was very close. Shaw said that they grew up together and were not taking the news very well, noting that they were bonding to handle the heartbreaking grief. Shaw said that since Wednesday was a school day, no one would have expected Rahim to be outside at that hour. Shaw said nobody knows where Rahim was coming from, but he made it past the front grill, which means he had a key. The uncle said his biggest concern is Rahim's mother and father because they are not in a good place. And High Court Judge Justice Vinette Graham Allen yesterday chided the defense and prosecution for causing a further delay in the murder case involving Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald after they disobeyed her order to meet. The 68-year-old Portland businessman is charged for the deaths of his wife and ex-wife. At the last court hearing on July 6, the judge had ordered the parties to meet to determine if full disclosure had been made, as well as the statements that could be agreed. However, when the matter was called up yesterday for the commencement of the plea and case management hearing so that a trial date could be set, the judge learned that the parties had not complied with her order. While the prosecution indicated that full disclosure was made, one of the defendant's lawyers, John Jacobs, advised the judge that his colleague, Earl Hamilton, had indicated that full disclosure was not made as he was told about an outstanding document. The judge was not pleased that they had not ironed out the issue, reminding them that the matter had previously been adjourned twice on their request to facilitate disclosure. Graham Allen said the discussion cannot happen in court, and that is why the court makes an order that the parties are to discuss the case before the plea and case management hearing date. Furthermore, the judge stressed that the case is very technical and therefore it is important that they meet. She reordered the parties to meet to ensure that full disclosure has been made in both murder cases and to decide on the length and mode of the trial. She also ordered that Hamilton, who was absent, appear in court on the next occasion. MacDonald, who appeared via video link, was remanded while his co-accused, Oscar Barnes, had his bail extended. The two are charged with the July 2020 murder of MacDonald's second wife, Tanya Hamilton MacDonald, whose partially burnt body was found with the throat slashed beside her burned car along the Sherwood Forest Main Road. Another man, Denverlin Minot, said to be the contract killer, pleaded guilty to his role and was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Minot, in a witness statement, claimed that he was offered $3 million by MacDonald to kill his wife. In the other case, MacDonald is charged for the May 2, 2009 murder of his first wife, Merlene Petal MacDonald, who was shot dead outside her home in Boundbrook, Portland. It is alleged that MacDonald paid a police detective to kill his wife after their marriage crumbled and she left the matrimonial home. Hamilton and Jacobs are representing MacDonald in both cases, while Barnes is being represented by attorney Ernest Davis. And that's your daily news roundup for today. I am Abigail Smythe, wishing you pleasant viewing.
Teach them! Hey, yo, hello! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember to share the video with your friends and family. And browse the channel for more quality content. Until next time, walk good, my friends.
Teach them!